Good morning, students. Welcome back to my 16th lecture of your subject code C505 Module 4, Characterization of Wastewater Part 4. So, we'll deliver the lecture on the characterization of wastewater Part 4. That is the 16th lecture of your PC505, the Environmental Engineering 2, the subject. If you remember the last class, that is in the 15th lecture, we have described the process of the BOD, biochemical oxygen demand. One of the parameter in biological process treatment process we are using, that is discussed in details, I hope so, with some numerical example. Now today I will describe the COD, very important parameter like BOD, that is the chemical oxygen demand. So first of all, how it can be that characterization of wastewater means how the parameter can be determined practically, that I will show you, and what method is used for determination of the COD, that I can tell you in the laboratory, which can be how the COD value can be obtained. Now the COD of the sample, first of all, the theoretical lecture in the last lecture, that is the 14th and 15th lecture, I think I have been able to explain you what is COD, the chemical oxygen demand, where both the organic and inorganic, I mean to say the biodegradable and non-biodegradable, both the matter are being oxidized by the chemically oxidized agent that we have seen, potassium permanganate. Now, this is COD is measured. COD is measured basically by the principle of the closed reflux method. What is that method? Closed reflux method. Generally, we are finding the COD in laboratory by the closed reflux method. This method I can deliver it to you so that you will understand the things. Now the vial means VAIL. I am telling the, it is looking like a tube, but it is called simply a vial. And this vial, first 2.5 milliliter sample of wastewater we have to take, whose COD has to be determined. Okay, which we call it a alicot. That is the 2.5 milliliters. Why it is called alicot? Because when you are taking the wastewater sample, the diluted sample you are taking, not the raw sample. Suppose 10 times dilution. Why the dilution is being taken place? Because if you don't dilute the sample, then unnecessarily the chemical reagent will be consumed much more, which is not economical. So whether you will go for the BOD or COD in determining in laboratory test, you have to go for the dilution of the sample. 10 times or 5 times being diluted. So this is called the alicate sample, the diluted wastewater, that is called alicate. The technical term is alicate. That you are taking 2.5 milliliter in the tube, which is called the vial. That means which are being inserted into the thermoreactor slot. So for the digestion purpose. So this is called the vial, that is the tube. For COD test, it is only applicable. So 2.5 milliliter you can take the, I mean to say the alicate. Then you add 1.5 milliliter of the oxidizing agent, that is the potassium dichromate K2Cr2O7, and finally 3.5 milliliter sulfuric acid. That is the finally 3.5 milliliter sulfuric acid you have to add. This is the thing that one after another you have to add these things. For last you will add the acid, because if you put first the acid, then you add the water, then it will be a very dangerous thing. First you add the water, then acid, that will be applicable. So don't put water on the acid, then it will just burst. So that accident may occur, so that has to be taken care. Now this vial, the culture tube solution was denoted by sample A, because you have taken the sample alicot. A similar tube was prepared. Instead of the 2.5 milliliter sample, you have to take the 2.5 liter the distilled water, which is called the blank. So blank solution and the sample solution, the two tubes you have prepared. Now these two COD culture tubes were allowed to digestion. Where the digestion takes place? In a reflexing apparatus, which is called a COD thermoreactor, and that that digestion takes place in a closed refluxing system, and the operating temperature at digestion takes place at 148 plus minus 2 degrees centigrade, and time of the digestion is for 2 hours. That is the normal process of the COD, how the COD is being conducted for the digestion. 2 hours digestion, that means 2 hours you have to allow for the oxidation of that organic matter or inorganic matter present in the wastewater. After the digestion was over, the tubes were cooled. At desiccator, you can place it in the desiccator at room temperature, and it has to be allowed to cool in the room temperature. And after cooling, you have to titrate with that solution with 0.01 normal ferrous ammonium sulfate, which we call it FAS. FAS means ferrous ammonium sulfate. This is the titrant we are using for the titration, and the indicator for COD test is ferroin indicator. You have to use until a reddish brown color. That means when you add the indicator, ferroin indicator, it becomes the reddish brown. Now the titration with the ferrous ammonium sulfate 0.01 normal will be taken place until this brown color. I mean to say, ferroin indicator, it will just indicate the green color, and when it will you will go for the titration after the ferroin indicator. Then you have to titrate. You have to titrate with ferrous ammonium sulfate till the brown color appears, reddish brown color appears, cherry reddish brown color appears. Till that color appears, you have to titrate with the ammonium sulfate, ferrous ammonium sulfate solution. That is the first. And once the reddish brown color appear, you have to stop the titration. So to determine the strength of first solution, whether it is exactly 0.01 normal, you have to prepare one cold blank. That is, you have to prepare the standardization, you have to prepare a blank tube as prepared earlier. But in this case, the cultural tube was directly titrated with first without any digestion. That is called cold blank. So what is the COD? How the COD value of the wastewater can be determined as one of the key parameter? Simply it is A minus B into M into 8000 divided by volume of sample. A means the volume of FAS for blank solution, that is the hot blank after digestion, and B means the volume of FAS for sample solution. So that value is always less than the volume of A. So the blank titration will be more because there is no COD. It is a distilled water. So COD value, the titration value will be more. And B value is a sample, it carries COD, so the value of the titration will be less. So M is molarity, generally 0.01 normal, 0.01 molar, FAS is being used. So knowing these things, volume of the sample is 2.5 milliliter. You can take the value, you can determine the value of COD. And lastly, if you remember, when I am talking you that the adequate sample, suppose you have used the dilution factor is 5 or 10 say, then you have to multiply with the dilution factor for getting the proper COD. Because dilution has been taken place for minimizing the reagent. So actual value of the COD will be determined once you multiply with the dilution factor which you have used in the laboratory, that is 10 times or 5 times. So this is the how the COD of the value parameter, one of the characteristics of wastewater, can be determined. I have just told you the idea. The closed refluxing process at 148 degrees centigrade and titration after cooling, the titration has been done with the H2SO4. Titration has been done with titration has been done with N by 40. That is the first solution. That is the 0.01 normal first solution, ferrous ammonium sulfate. The titration has been done, and the indicator used is ferroin indicator. So this is the method we are following for determining the COD. Now let me discuss the mixed liquor suspended solid MLSS. Very, very important in the biological treatment of wastewater. This parameter is very, very important. What is MLSS? Mixed liquor suspended solid. That means it is a liquor which contains the biomass. So how it can be measured? First, you take a commercial filter paper blank weight, which is W1. You take a first commercial filter paper blank weight, okay, in weighing machine, digital weighing machine. Then from the, suppose the reactor, you are collecting the sample of which the MLSS has to be determined. There, you properly uniformly mix the suspended biomass solution in the mixture. The content of the biological reactor, that is the biomass, mechanically stirred gently for 1 to 2 minutes, and the sample was taken immediately from the middle portion of the stirred biomass. Maintain the uniformity in the mixture, and from this uniformity mixture, take 50 milliliter of the uniformity mixed suspended biomass solution in the measuring cylinder. You have the 50 milliliter measuring cylinder, so take that uniformly biomass mixture solution, and it has to be taken immediately for prevention of non-uniformity of the sample solution, so that the uniformity should be continued. Now, the filter paper along with the residue, now you just pass through that filter paper of that 50 milliliter solution which you have taken from the reactor. Now 50 milliliter of uniformly mixed suspended solution you take in the cylinder and filter through commercial filter paper placed in the funnel. Which filter paper? Whose blank weight you have already taken. Now you filter this filter paper along with the residue, you keep it in the oven for at 105 degrees centigrade for 2 hours until the moisture got removed. So it is heated in air oven dry process until the moisture gets removed. Simultaneously, it must be seen that the paper should not be burnt. So the optimum heat should be there just to remove the moisture. That is the basic purpose. Once oven drying process is complete, that oven dried filter paper along with the residue has to be brought down to room temperature and kept in desiccator for 15 to 20 minutes for allowing it to contact in the room temperature. And the filter paper with the residue was again weighted, and the difference between the two weighted readings was taken for determining the MLSS as follows. How? Now A is the sample and filter weight after oven drying and after cooling process. B is the weight of the filter paper. So if you subtract B from A, what it will give? It will give the filtrate, that is the suspended biomass in the filter paper, and that is the MLSS, mixed liquor suspended solid, and that is A minus B into 10 to the power 3 into 10 to the power 3. Why twice 10 to the power 3, 10 to the power 3? Now, first of all, volume of sample which you are dividing, that is in milliliter. So if you convert it in liter, that means 10 to the power minus 3 means it goes into the numerator 10 to the power 3. Again, you have taken the weight in gram, A minus B in gram. So you will convert in milligram. So again 10 to the power 3. So twice 10 to the power 3 you have to multiply. And it will give the MLSS milligram per liter. So this is, I am telling you how the MLSS is being determined in the laboratory process. That is the one of the key parameters, because it indicates how much biomass is present in the wastewater. That means the treatment efficiency can be determined with this MLSS, because if MLSS is more, then treatment efficiency will be more. So MLSS, if is not present there, that means biological reactor, it will not perform, it will not properly function, because bacteria presence is, the biomass present is very much required in the biological reactor for biological treatment. Now, MLVSS, what is mixed liquor volatile suspended solid? Here, just we have to take the muffled furnace instead of that hot oil oven, because as it is a volatile, so that heat temperature has to be kept at 550 degrees centigrade in muffled furnace. So here we will use the muffled furnace at 550 degrees centigrade. First, here empty crucible glass pot, that is crucible, has to be taken, and simultaneously its weight has to be taken, and simultaneously muffled furnace was warmed up, because it will take time to 0 to 550 degrees centigrade. So you have to on the muffled furnace to take time to go to 550 degrees centigrade. Now the filter paper with the residue along with the crucible was kept in the muffled furnace at 550 degrees centigrade for 12 minutes, and wait again. The difference between the two weighted readings was examined, and finally MLVSS was calculated. How? A minus B minus C minus D, that 4 parameters are there in subtracting. Again I am telling, A minus B minus C minus D divided by volume of the sample into 10 to the 6 will give the MLVSS. Why there are 4 subtractive parameters in the numerator, A minus B minus C minus D? Now, A is the sample and filter paper weight. Fine. B is the weight of the filter paper. So if you subtract B from A, what weight you will get? You will deduct sample plus filter paper minus weight of the filter paper, you will get the weight of the sample. Now, what is C? C is the final weight of the crucible along with the residue, and D is the initial weight of the crucible. So what is C minus D? C minus D is the weight of the residue. So what I am telling, A minus B is the total weight of the sample, and there if you subtract the C minus D, that is the weight of the residue, then you will get the volume of the MLVSS, that is the volatile suspended solid. So this way you have to find out the MLVSS by subtracting the weight from the total volume. You will get the volatile suspended solid, the weight you will get in terms of milligram per liter. The same process like MLSS, but we have used here the muffled furnace for calculating the volatile portion, and that portion has been subtracted, residue portion has been subtracted from the sample to get the volatile suspended solid. Now, alkalinity. What is alkalinity? Now it is, I have already described, but now I am telling you how it is being determined. This characteristic, that parameter of the characteristic of wastewater, how it can be determined in the lab, that you have to know as a civil engineer. Alkalinity is the acid neutralizing capacity. So it is a property, it is a parameter, it is a characteristic of the wastewater which indicates its acid neutralizing capacity, and is equivalent to some of the all titrable bases. Now alkalinity is due to bicarbonate, ACO3 minus, hydroxide, and carbonate, that for 3 main ions that we have seen. And its values provide guidance in applying proper classes of chemicals in water and wastewater treatment process, particularly in coagulation, softening, and operational control of anaerobic digestion. So it is due to the presence of the carbonate, bicarbonate, and hydroxide ions content, indication of the concentration of these 3 ions. These 3 ions are mainly responsible for the alkalinity. Now titration was done with the bromocresol green indicator, that is the indicator, and was continued till the color of the sample chart changes from blue to green, and which we are using the sulfuric acid as a titrant, and the titrant and the indicator used is bromocresol, and the titration guides how it guides us. Now, color of the samples changes from the blue to green. The blue to green, which indicates the complete neutralization of the ions constituting the total alkalinity. So total alkalinity can be obtained by using titration with the bromocresol green indicator and sulfuric acid as a titrate. So this is the total alkalinity, and I have told you that there is another alkalinity, that is the phenolphthalein alkalinity, which is used by phenolphthalein indicator. So phenolphthalein alkalinity and total alkalinity both are obtained in the laboratory by using the two different indicators. That I have theoretical part I have described earlier. Now total solids, how it can be measured. Now oil mix sample is evaporated in a weighted dish. You can take as a weighted dish, or as a beaker, or as a pot, or as a crucible, whatever it is, and just go for oven dry process. So first you take the blank weight of that weighted dish, and then when the sample oven dry, then sample with the direct sample with the this weighted dish, you take the weight, and difference of the two weight, that is the W2 minus W1, will give you the solid content weight, which is nothing but W2 minus W1 into 10 to the power 6 divided by the volume of the sample. Say volume of the sample, you have taken wastewater 50 ml, and weight of the dish with sample after oven drying, it is seen that W2 gram, and initial weight before taking the sample, you took the weight W1 gram. So what will be the total solid content? W2 minus W1 divided by 50 into 10 to the power 6. Why 10 to the power 6? Because the milliliter sample, when you convert in a liter, 10 to the power minus 3 denominator goes to numerator as a 10 to the power 3, and gram to milligram conversion is 10 to the power 3. Fine. Suspended solid. When you are going to find out the suspended solid, that means it well mixed sample has to be filtered through a weighted standard glass fiber filter, and the residue maintained on the filter is dried to a oven dry process. Take the filter before the process, you have to take the blank filter weight, then the filter with residue after oven drying, you take the weight. The difference is W2 minus W1 will give you the total, will give you the suspended solid content, that is W2 minus W1 by volume of the sample. Now is very important the dissolved oxygen. Why it is very important? Because in wastewater, when you will teach you the treatment process, the secondary treatment process, that is the biological treatment of wastewater, is very vital. Biological treatment of wastewater is the major treatment in wastewater which is being traditionally done. And there, when I am talking for the biological treatment of wastewater, the bacteria treats the water, because bacteria are the agent, microorganisms are the agent which treats the water. So for bacteria, the dissolved oxygen is very vital, which we must have to take the observation what is the DO content in the wastewater, because the treatment efficiency depends on the DO, dissolved oxygen. That's why it is a very important characteristics of the wastewater. Now dissolved oxygen, first of all, how it can be carried out. Now to calculate the dissolved oxygen, you suppose you take in a BOD bottle, that is the 300 millimeter bottle, the sample water you have taken, the diluted sample water, you take 1 ml of MnSO4 manganese sulfate solution. Open the stopper and 1 ml MnSO4 you take. After that you take 1 ml alkali iodide azide solution. After giving 1 milliliter MnSO4 and 1 ml alkali iodide solution, you put the stopper with care to exclude air bubbles completely from inside, and you shake several times by inverting the bottles. When precipitate has settled, you have to allow for precipitation. When precipitate has settled sufficiently to leave a clear superintendent above the manganese hydroxide flock, then you add 1 ml H2SO4. 1 ml H2SO4, and again you shake well, inverting several times the bottle where dissolution, until dissolution of the precipitate is completely and there is a uniform distribution of the liberated iodine, and titrate that volume 201 volume of that water corresponding to 200 milliliter of the original sample after correction for sample loss by displacement with reagents. Titration has to be taken place by N/40 sodium thiosulfate Na2H2O3, indicating using the indicator start solution till the color disappears, till the blue color disappears, and then the DO is found out from the titration volume using the standard sodium thiosulfate. Now, what is the mechanism works in this form of DO calculation? The mechanism works is the DO is measured, dissolved oxygen measured by agile modification of Winkler's method on ideometric principle, where oxygen oxidizes manganese. We have used the MnO2, so oxygen oxidizes manganese 2 plus to a higher state of valency plus 4 under the alkaline condition, because you have used the alkali azide. So under the alkaline conditions, and if no oxygen present, then what will happen? A white precipitate MnO2 is formed. Manganese hydroxide is formed. In presence of oxygen, Mn2 plus is stoichiometrically oxidized to MnO2, which forms the brown hydrated oxide at high pH. This is called the fixation of oxygen, how you fix the oxygen. And then addition of sulfuric acid, what has been done to sample in presence of iodide, results oxidized manganese Mn4 to revert to the divalent state. Now with the liberation of iodine equivalent to the original DO content, liberated iodine is titrated with N/40 solution of the sodium thiosulfate, and certain oxidizing agents such as nitrate and ferric ions are capable to oxidizing I to I2, and thus therefore with the measurement nitrite interference can be removed by introducing sodium azide, which reacts with nitrite under acidic conditions to form nitrogen, nitrogenous oxide, and water. So this is the mechanism has been done in calculation, in determination of the dissolved oxygen. So how periodically I am telling you 1 ml MnSO4, then alkali azide, then sulfuric acid, then the final titration has been done, indicating the start solution indicator with N/40 sodium thiosulfate Na2H2O3 titrate, where the color blue colors should be disappears, then it will give finally the DO, dissolved oxygen in water. This is very, very important in determining the BOD. The same procedure can be followed, because BOD is nothing but the biochemical oxygen demand, which is also the process of determination of the oxygen demand like DO. So the same process can be followed in determination of BOD also. Now the ammonium nitrate. Ammonium, just the condition of the oxidation of the nitrogen matter takes place. Just the oxidation of the nitrogen matter takes place. That is called the ammonia. That means free nitrogen has started to oxidize. So 50 ml sample Again, the aggregate sample was placed in 800 ml Geldal flask. We are calling that Geldal flask because this ammonium nitrate has been determined in the Geldal flask, that is the apparatus, and it is diluted to 300 milliliter with distilled water. Then 25 milliliter borate buffer and 6 normal NaOH were added until the content in the flask reduced to pH 9.5. By putting glass beads, the sample solution in the flask was boiled. In the distillation process, a conical flask containing 50 milliliter boric acid was kept at the receiving end. Now the distillation of the sample solution was continued till the volume in the colonial flask go to 250 milliliter. Because after distillation, that goes on adding in the conical flask, and this is the process will be continued till this volume reaches to 250 milliliter in the conical flask. Then the content matter of the conical flask is titrated with N/50 concentrated sulfuric acid till the point color changes from green to blue, and this is the indication of the ammonia nitrogen. Now, how we will calculate the Geldal nitrogen, that is total Geldal nitrogen? This is nothing but the total ammonia nitrogen plus the free nitrogen. So same process, but here after adding the sample in the Geldal flask, you have to add 6.7 milliliter concentrated H2SO4, 6.7 gram potassium sulfate, and 0.364 gram copper sulfate. And the sample solution then diluted to 100 ml and was digested in the heater till the volume reduced to 25 to 50 milliliter. And these 25 to 50 milliliter again diluted to 300 milliliter. And the process remaining same for the, after that the process will be same as we have done in the determination of the ammonia nitrogen. Then 25 milliliter borate buffer addition takes place with 6 normal sodium hydroxide, and it is boiled with glass beads, and till the distillation process, a conical flask containing 50 milliliter boric acid in the receiving end, likewise before, and the process, distillation process will be continued till the volume of the conical process reaches to 50 ml. The content of the conical flask then titrated with the N/50 H2SO4, and it will give the total Geldal nitrogen. So if you subtract the ammonia nitrogen from the total Geldal nitrogen, it will simply give the organic nitrogen. So organic nitrogen is the difference between the total Geldal nitrogen and the ammonium nitrogen. Now total phosphorus. This is the this I will close it a day after discussing this phosphorus. This is one of the characteristics in wastewater, nutrient parameter in the wastewater that you must check. Stannous chloride method, that is the standard method. If you see, the stannous chloride method is being used for determination of the total phosphorus in the wastewater. It was followed for determination of the phosphorus in the wastewater sample. Now in 15 milliliter sample, 2 milliliter molybdate reagent. What is molybdate reagent? It is a comprising of ammonium molybdate and the concentrated H2SO that can be prepared in the laboratory. So molybdate reagent 2 milliliter you have added, and 0.25 milliliter, that means 5 drops, 1 drop considering 0.05 milliliter. So 5 drops means 0.25 milliliter stannous chloride agent were added and properly mixed. And after 10 minutes, but before 12 minutes, the color of the mixed sample was photometrically measured at 692 nanometer in the spectrophotometer, and the absorbance reading has been taken place from the calibration curve corresponding to the absorbance reading. Phosphorus concentration can be done. So this is the thing I have mentioned today in my 16th lecture. The characteristics of the wastewater, mainly the COD, how to determine in the lab, the dissolved oxygen, the alkalinity, the phosphorus, the total solid, the MLSS, the MLVSS, which has been determined. I have just given an idea which titrant and which indicator is used in which type of parameter. That questions may come in the objective MCQ based questions, and short notes may come regarding these topics. So I will upload these lectures in my Google Classroom. Kindly go through that. I will be meeting in the live classroom for interaction discussion. So I'll close it today. So have a nice day. Thank you all.